Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld with Jedediah Bila. Happy birthday. Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and her prom date picked her up in a Hot Wheel. Dana Perino, The 5. What a week for the Dems. Two new candidates, Kamala and Java Man. Kamala is the Hillary of 2-0. We know because it's easy to predict a Democratic candidate. Just follow the mob. When Obama first ran, the press and pundits shouted to the heavens, we all know it's Obama. So everyone out of the pool. And then later, they all knew it'd be Hillary. Until the Orange Godzilla ambushed them. He showed that it's not hard to ambush a mob, especially a mob of lemmings. Just dress up like a cliff and they'll jump right off. This year, it's Kamala's turn. How do we know? I heard it from the lemmings.
Senator Kamala Harris officially kicked off her 2020 presidential campaign. Look at that crowd. She was home, and I think she was really strong, Joe. What are your thoughts?
I don't know about you, but the second I saw her up there, I said, wow, she's got what it takes. She filled that stage, and she can play in the big leagues.
They're gooier than taffy on a hot dashboard. So the lockstep begins, which is why Java Man is having a hard time.
Don't help elect Trump, you egotistical billionaire. Go back to getting ratioed on Twitter. Go back to Davos with the other billionaire elite who think they know how to run the world. That's not what democracy needs.
Someone got a day pass from the home. Of course, there's The View.
Your entry into this race will guarantee Trump another 4 years. And I know
I don't agree with you.
I know you don't.
I don't agree with you.
I know you don't.
And if he runs against a far-left progressive person who is suggesting 60, 70% tax increases on the rich and a health care system that we can't pay for,
I don't know about
President Trump is going to get reelected. And no one wants to see him fired more than me.
And no one wants to see you run more than him.
She's like a cold cup of coffee. So you hear the fear in their voices. Java Man wants to do what Trump did, say surprising things about new ideas, laugh at the press, drive the mob crazy. But there's a problem. The mob fears if he runs as an independent, he'll take votes from Kamala, handing a win to Trump. And they're right. Schultz is an old school lib, and by showing up next to the clown car that is the Democratic Party, he exposes how far left they've become. He's not a socialist promising pie in the sky BS. He's sane. The solution for the Dems? Pick one like him so no one flocks to him. Or watch how we run. Look at him. He's already committing the cardinal sin, going after the media's preordained choice.
Well, you just played Senator Harris as saying she wants to abolish the insurance industry. That's not correct. That's not American. What's next? What industry are we going to abolish next? The coffee industry?
Big mistake. Going after her. He'll last about as long as a pork chop in a piranha tank. So I am starting to warm up to this guy, Dana, because unlike the other people running, he's got the guts to go after the sacred heroes. I mean, he's going after Kamala, and I'll play some tape later of him going after AOC. And you're seeing the nasty reaction everywhere because he's making it hard for them to protect their choice.
Right, so they're sort of like united against him. The other person that actually went after the left by name for, I think it was AOC, maybe it was Elizabeth Warren.
Bloomberg.
Michael Bloomberg. But they're independent guys who are like, well, wait, like, I don't think we don't want to go that way. The freak out on the left is quite dramatic, and I think that they are looking to say, you know, my goodness, you're going to elect Donald Trump. Like, what are you doing? But I think it is just as possible that could hurt Trump, right? Because if you look at 1992, they say that if you look at, let's say, some people say, well, Perot didn't really have an effect because if you look at the data, Bush won Texas and Florida, so it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
But could it matter this time? The path to 270 is not necessarily easy, but that's how you elected Bill Clinton.
It's hard to remember 92. I was like 14.
Yeah.
I look great.
So cute. You didn't even have to shave back then.
Well, I wanted to, believe me.
You were older than 14.
Yes, I won't tell you how old I am, Jesse.
First election I ever voted in.
Wow, really? Yeah. Interesting. I don't believe I asked for that information, but that's okay. Jesse,
Yes.
when The View has a nasty reaction to someone, I instantly like that person a lot.
Yeah, I'm starting to like this guy, Schultz. He lets me use his bathrooms at Starbucks. If you do nothing else, just do that, and I will vote for you. I don't like ordering the cup when it says venti. I want to be able to just say small. I don't like saying that. But besides that, I think he's great
But venti
for the
is
reasons.
large.
Exactly. I don't even know what it means. What language is that anyway? And who cares? But the point is, and you saw this radical yelling things at this guy, they're trying to turn the term billionaire into a slur.
Yeah.
Like being a billionaire inherently makes you a bad person. But here's the deal. This guy's a self-made billionaire. He grew up in the projects in Brooklyn. His father was a truck driver, and he created Starbucks out of nothing. And the left loves Starbucks.
Yes.
I mean, they pay their people well. They get great health insurance. Everybody used to love them, and now they want to boycott Starbucks because he could be the spoiler and ensure a Donald Trump second term, more Kavanaughs, more tweets. They're on a suicide watch now because the guy's got enough dough to get on the ballot in all 50 states and then blanket the airwaves with advertisements. So it's a total meltdown.
You know, all right, Juan. I think that Howie is a lot like you in the sense that he's an old school Democrat without a party. You know, your party is going way far left. And, you know, it's been hard. I think it's been hard for you. I'm like an analyst. I know it's been hard for you with your Democratic Party.
I'm in the middle of a psychology
Tell me how you really feel. But don't you
session.
think that he's sounding like a Democrat from like the 70s or 80s or even 90s? He sounds like Bill Clinton.
Well, he is like me in this regard. We both grew up in Brooklyn in the projects, so I'll give him that. But I didn't become a billionaire. I mean, he did.
Not yet.
Well, but he says things about Elizabeth Warren that I just find strange. I mean, he says that Elizabeth Warren's idea that you tax 2% on people who are worth more than $50 billion, he says that's ridiculous. I think, why is that ridiculous?
I bet he has an answer.
Or he says Medicare for all, ridiculous, stupid, that's un-American. And I think to myself, most Americans think that's a good idea.
No, but he was saying un-American in that getting rid of an entire industry. He was talking about
but she didn't say get rid of the industry. She just said you should be able to go to the hospital, and if you're in the hospital, not to have to go through, do you have insurance? Will your insurance coverage, company cover this? But get, right away, and that Medicare for all would guarantee
Doesn't that happen?
They treat people without health insurance all the time.
Right, that's bad. And you know what?
People away at all.
But then what happens, Jesse? You and I end up paying with higher cost, and that's why American medical care is so
So you want to fire
expensive.
500,000 people that work in the healthcare industry?
I didn't want to get into the debate, but I will be glad to. But I just wanted to talk about him for a second, because I think a lot of the things he's saying out of the box that dismiss the Democratic ideas are out of touch with who voters are. The key point that he's making, and it's interesting that Steve Schmidt, who worked with McCain, I think Greg Stripple, who was also a Republican pollster, Bill Burton, who worked with Obama, these are his top people, okay? They were with him yesterday here in New York. And what you're seeing him say, 40% of Americans now identify as independents. They don't like Republicans or Democrats. They really are independents. The problem with that analysis is most independents lean one way or the other, and at the moment what we're seeing is huge numbers saying, I'll never vote for Trump. 56% of Americans in the latest poll never vote for Trump.
You just said that at the start, Juan.
But I'm just saying that. So if that's the case, he's counting on independents who, in fact, are not there for the taking.
All right.
I mean, I think he's just a businessman, right? So he much like Trump has an idea of what these policies do when they're actually impacting business. So when you look at a 70% marginal tax rate, when you look at Medicare for all he's saying is it's un-American to have a massive government overtake of industry, and he knows that it reduces the quality of care of those items, that top tax rate is going to cause, when you hike up that on people at the top, you're going to lead to job losses, you're going to lead to a trickle-down economics. This guy's been alive for a minute. He's a successful businessman, and he's saying these things sound great that Democrats are coming out and saying all these sound bites, this utopia that they want to live in. But when you get out of liberal academia, this stuff just doesn't work. And it's interesting because he used to be viewed as a social justice warrior. Starbucks was this liberal company. Everybody loved him. Right, exactly. Liberals loved him. And now they have to make it their job to destroy him and to destroy that company. Don't think they're not going to boycott
To your point,
company.
the media and the Democratic Party are going to narrow the focus to the person they want, which is
That's right.
Kamala.
And they also, remember, the media liked Trump before he ran as well. So this is what they do. They might like you before, and then when they sense that you're a threat to far left policies now, this guy's going to have to be destroyed.
It's
and you see it happening already.
When a Democrat tells other Democrats, you're going crazy, you're going off the deep end, that really hurts. It's like if you have a drinking problem and people tell you to stop drinking, you don't listen. And then when your friend tells you to stop drinking, you say, oh my God, maybe I should stop. Don't tell me that.
Never
I love to
worked on
drink.
All right, I gotta go. Don't miss Dana's interview with Howard Schultz on the Daily Briefing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Good numbers last Friday, by the way, Dana.
Thank you.
Yes. She was way up there. Up next, Roger Stone in federal court today pleading not guilty. What he's now saying.
President Trump's former advisor, Roger Stone, in federal court today pleading not guilty to 7 criminal charges stemming from Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation. The charges include lying to Congress, witness tampering, and obstruction. Stone adamant that Mueller and his team have nothing on him.
There is no Russian collusion. I had no collaboration with WikiLeaks. I'm not charged with conspiracy. Believe me, if they could have made that case, they would have. But they want to silence me because I will stand up for Donald Trump. That's what this is really about.
And the Russian investigation may soon be coming to a close. Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker saying this.
Right now, the investigation is, I think, close to being completed, and I hope that we can get the report from Director Mueller as soon as possible.
Okay, Greg, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Roger Stone never met a camera he didn't want to talk to, but today when he left court, he didn't give any new sound to the camera. He just flashed the Nixon sign and walked in the car.
I've got a bone to pick with him. He's the men's fashion editor for Daily Caller.
For real?
I believe so. What's interesting? I think that this could be his greatest late life performance, which follows the trajectory of his life because he's always doing controversial things. People have a bucket list. He has a similar list that rhymes with it. So every day he's always jumping off a cliff, doing something. So I think he's going to kind of enjoy this. But I feel bad. And also about Whitaker, Morning Joe was making fun of Whitaker for sweating, and God help Morning Joe. There's no tape of him embarrassing himself.
When we get makeup every commercial break to prevent the sweating.
All you have to do is watch Morning Joe's music videos. Anyway, the media should prepare for the worst. I don't know what's going to happen to CNN and MSNBC when the air comes out of this collusion balloon, when everything is settled. They're going to be like that guy on Let's Make a Deal who gets the donkey behind door number 3. What are you going
to do with that?
What are you going to do with the donkey? It's just an ass.
Direct.
That's their party's logo.
Yeah. Yes. So, Jesse, what do you make of Stone? He's doing all the other interviews, didn't talk today.
Well, it's because he's going to be on Laura Ingraham tonight at 10 p.m. That's why.
Schultz tomorrow, Stone tonight.
Yes, exactly. And he was on Tucker, and he was on Hannity, and now he's on Ingraham.
So he's done my show.
He's doing the full
Put your
Stone.
request in for Saturday?
No, I think we've heard enough from him at that point. But Dana.
Yes.
In the Andrew McCarthy has a really great piece in the National Review that I think everybody should read. The title is Stone Indictment Underscores That There Was No Trump-Russia Conspiracy. And here's the bottom line.
Okay.
Mueller has never charged or alleged that there has been any participation with the Trump campaign in the hacking of the DNC server and Podesta. Remember, the DNC server was hacked before Trump was even the nominee, and Podesta just gave his password to somebody, and it wound up in the hands of WikiLeaks, all those emails. Stone has never been alleged to have been complicit in the hacking. And if you read the indictment, it says the Trump campaign had no idea what WikiLeaks had. And so they go, hey, Stone, can we get a heads up on what WikiLeaks had? And Stone goes, okay. And he had no idea. So he starts asking around trying to get the scoop on WikiLeaks, and he couldn't find out. He got nothing. So all he did was hype it up based on publicly released documents. There's no conspiracy there.
What do you think, Juan?
I think I read in the indictment, it says there that Stone asked for a secure line. I think he wanted to use WhatsApp or something to talk with a senior person in the Trump campaign, Jesse. But I must say,
so what?
Well, I think that indicates that there's some collaboration. You know.
So Stone collaborated with the Trump campaign. That's not a crime.
We don't know. We don't. Well, I thought you were saying that there was no evidence that he collaborated with the Trump
with
campaign.
WikiLeaks.
Well, I'm saying he's collaborating and giving information.
Collaborating with Trump? That's not a crime.
Not a crime, except that he is facilitating the transfer of information coming from a foreign country intended to undermine our election.
That's not what he did, and that's not what the indictment says.
Well, I think that's what in fact,
I read the indictment,
lots
did you?
Yes, I did. In fact, in the
Doesn't
indictment,
sound like it.
under the indictment, what you're seeing here is there's a number of things that are redacted that are not full, but I think what they're after, and this is the reason, by the way, Stone makes a big deal out of all the people, FBI people who came to his house. I think what Mueller is after is a lot of these devices and documents that Stone was doing on secure or encrypted platforms so that he could avoid this kind of scrutiny. I mean,
maybe I'm wrong.
You
probably
could be,
not. Though.
I could be wrong too.
Jesse, your track record is
a great track record.
But I will say, I just find it odd that someone like Bill Barr today, his vote is delayed in terms of confirmation for Attorney General, because he still won't say that he's going to release to the American people the Mueller report. I think this is outrageous. I don't understand how Democrats would vote for this guy.
Well, they might not, but they don't need to, right? They just need 51.
Yeah. Doesn't Stone remind you of that friend you all have, though, that talks too much and gets themselves in trouble? I feel like he's that guy that just...
You mean like Jesse?
Well, maybe. Yes, actually.
We both dress well.
No, you don't.
You actually dress better than Stone. Stone's jackets don't fit, but
Don't you wait with bated breath, though? Whenever he does an interview, I'm like, he's about to say something that's going to get him into more trouble. Listen, I don't know. I just wish they would figure this out already. Is there collusion? Is there not collusion? So we can move on to something else. And my guess is that if there's no collusion, I don't know, Juan, maybe you can answer whether the Democrats will give it up, but I think the focus then becomes the wall obsessively, because they need some ammunition against Trump, and that seems to be the collusion aside. Once you take that out and you take out the impeachment argument and everybody, goes home.
No, it's the Stormy Daniels payments. They go back to that.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. That doesn't fire them up the same way, and that's not going to fire up, I don't think, voters in the same way. I think that's where the wall comes into play. He's a bigot, he's a racist.
Yes.
Tell me, yes.
I tell you what I found interesting about this, because I know there's so many dog lovers at the table, is that Mr. Stone was threatening a potential witness's dog.
Well, he knows how to get them.
That changes everything for me now.
Get some results that way. All right, we're going to move on. The head of the Houston Police Officers Union goes off after 4 cops are shot. Who he's putting on notice? Up next.
President of the Houston Police Officers Union giving a fiery press conference after 4 officers were shot and wounded and another injured while serving a narcotics warrant. Here he is putting all dirtbags on notice.
We are sick and tired of having targets on our back. We are sick and tired of having dirtbags trying to take our lives when all we're trying to do is protect this community and protect our families. Enough is enough. And if you're the ones that are out there spreading the rhetoric that police officers are the enemy, well, just know we've all got your number now. We're going to be keeping track of all of y'all, and we're going to make sure that we hold you accountable every time you stir the pot on our police officers. We've had enough, folks.
2 of the officers are in serious but stable condition. 2 others are in good condition, and a 5th officer who was shot in the shoulder was released from the hospital last night. Jedediah, I'm fired up. This guy really, really made an impact when I listened to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, honestly. There's such an underappreciation by certain groups of people in this country, certain people, oftentimes on the left, for law enforcement and what they go through every day. It was interesting, though, because I looked at a poll from Gallup from June 2018, and it talked about the institutions that people had the most confidence in. And if you look at it, at the top is the military at 74%. Next is small business, interestingly enough, at 67%. And the police are third at 54%. So a majority of the people in the country do back law enforcement, are horrified when you look at stories like this, and do understand the complexity of these people's jobs and how, they're basically sacrificing their lives every single day. So that was refreshing for me to see, because I think your instinct is always to look at those groups who sometimes can be anti-police or can rally against, law enforcement isn't looking out for the common good, and you think that's the norm in terms of how people feel, but it's not. Most of the country look at something like this and they want to rally around law enforcement and everything they do for us every day.
Putting dirtbags on notice, Juan. Gotta love that line.
I think it was a good line. I mean, to me, and of course he's the head of the union, he should be saying that. I mean, everybody feels that way, by the way, Jedediah, but I think if you break it down by groups, and especially people in this neighborhood, you'd say, yeah, we want protection, but guess what? You don't want police to abuse their authority and power. So you get different responses from different communities, and I think that's why you see Black Lives Matter have the level of support they do in America.
Yeah, but you know what? In New York City, in those Black Lives Matter rallies, I have heard some terrible rhetoric against law enforcement. Not just in those. Occupy Wall Street was the same way. If you look at some of those signs, it's hateful stuff. Yeah. It's just nice to know that that is not the norm.
Well, I think there's lots of hateful rhetoric at the extremes. But what you were saying in terms of citing those numbers are, I think most Americans have tremendous respect for the American military.
I agree.
And tremendous respect for small business. Doesn't mean that there aren't problems or you can't ask people about it.
And the media, we are so respected in this country.
Oh, no, I think that's the other side.
We're at the top. Let me just move on real quick. This is what police officers have to deal with sometimes, Dana. There's a new phenomenon called public auditing, where someone goes into the middle of a park and starts acting crazy and rambunctious, and then a police officer comes over to settle them down, and then they film it while they try to provoke the police officer into doing something while on tape.
That's terrible.
That's what they're dealing with.
That wasn't this situation.
No.
And those are two things
but
I was
similar
mention,
dirtbags that should be on notice.
That one of the police officers that was shot, this is his third time in his 32-year career that he was shot.
Wow.
Wow.
And he was also the one who went in because he knew that his guys were under attack. The other thing I wanted to mention is that they were doing a drug bust. And again, so we go back to this again and dealing with that as the root cause of an issue. If we could, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. Maybe it's legalization. I don't know. But is there a way to stop police officers from having to make these kinds of busts? I don't know.
Correct.
In terms of a resident expert.
I would say legalization would help. But I think this is something that we've all sensed here on the 5. This is a hangover of the 3 to 5 years of negative scrutiny towards the police where isolated incidents replaced statistics, right? We have statistics that'll tell you about how shootings have declined and that, in fact, white shootings of unarmed blacks is actually lower statistically than minority police shooting minority victims. But no one wants to hear that. They want the isolated anecdotal incident because that helps the media. And they took the anomaly and they made it representative of the system, which is unfair, and then you get this hangover here where people are getting hurt. Every industry must improve. It has. Body cameras is something that we should be for. But the issue here for me has always been the media entering the picture and relying on the oppressed narrative that it's all about race. But minorities are victims, but they're also the officers, especially in New York City. Minority is the majority. All right. So these are people that are doing their jobs in the community. They're beloved in their community. It's not about race. It's about improving an industry, that's for sure. But statistics tell stories that the media ignores. And the consequence of that is that they've made the bug in the system, and that's unfair.
If you think this is about the media, in terms of black community response and sense that there is abusive behavior, especially towards young black men,
by whom?
all being villain. You are really off on this.
Oh, I'm right,
This is
buddy.
not a media story. Believe me,
they got it wrong.
There's real feel. Oh, they're not wrong.
Nope.
Oh, so everybody in their community, they're dealing with the cops, and they're wrong, and it's the media, and it's the liberal elite.
You never heard of the Ferguson effect, Juan?
Let me just say,
in which the police backed off because of the coverage that they were getting, and the crime went up? That actually happened.
Listen, I think that we have a situation in this country where people want law and order, right? We want order, but we don't want to be abused. We don't want to be the case that if a cop shows up immediately because I'm black, I'm the suspect.
Look at this.
That's ridiculous.
So just so you're clear, when a minority officer shows up at a minority house, he is racist.
No, where do you?
Because it's only because because I'm looking at statistics, Juan.
Look at It's not about race. Let me tell you something. When they put on the blue uniform, they have brotherhood in terms of cops and cops for the most part. Occasionally you hear about this, but that's the thin blue line. And the thin blue line will stick together, unfortunately, sometimes in court when they're given testimony.
Well, then it's not race if it's a black officer, but it's race if it's a white officer.
I said it was poor black communities that most often
who love the officers, who help reduce crime
in terms of crime reduction, but who find that they are most often victimized by the police, and that the white community
there already have been
so now it's the white
19
community.
Police officers
I knew there was race somewhere.
shot in the line of duty this year alone. The liberal media fawning over a new White House tell-all book. How President Trump's fighting back. Up ahead.